Hello, fabulous Scorpio. Welcome to your horoscope for the month of May 2014, General Focus. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. This month, right in the middle of the month, there is a full moon taking place in your sign. And I think that that is by far the most important moment, if you will, the most important celestial occurrence to take place. And it's not just simply because there's a full moon, of course. And of course, there's always a very active sky, which is why I also have weekly horoscopes on my website, on YouTube as well. But when I do these monthly horoscopes, I like to look at sort of the highlights, the overall themes, the big lessons that you are going to be learning. And I really think that it is the middle of the month with this full moon happening so close to Saturn and speaking in harmony with Jupiter. And at the same time, you have Mars, your ancient ruling planet, right now swimming in the sign just before yours, beginning to slow down right around the same time as he prepares to go direct shortly after this full moon. I look at these placements together and it does suggest to me a major shift in your energy, a major turning point for you, and especially a moment of being deeply honest with yourself that allows you to make some important decisions about your future, allows you to understand where your blessings are and what it is that you need to bring to a close if you are going to walk in a direction that feels more stable for you. And so with Mars moving in the sign just before yours, there is an element here of really secrecy, okay? So there are some secrets that you keep consciously, which is not what the sign just before yours represents. It can, at times, represent what happens in very clandestine manners, okay? So it's actually like events that take place in a quiet way. But very often, it is also sort of the secrets that we don't even know, the things that we sort of suppress. It's like you already know, you have the answers, but actually admitting it to yourself, well, that's a whole other thing. And you add to this the fact that you've got this full moon taking place, and it's happening right next to the planet of reality, right? The planet of realism, the planet of really being honest with yourself about what is the reality of the situation. And it is speaking in harmony with Jupiter. Jupiter ultimately is about inspiration. It's about change. It's about evolution. It's about allowing healthy closures to take place. And it is also about forgiveness and healing as well. And you put these together, and I gotta say, it does look like some things that maybe you haven't really wanted to look at before in many different areas of life, very likely in different areas of life, but in a general sense of who you are, because ultimately when full moons, new moons take place in your sign, it has to do with you, your identity, you getting clear on what it is that really matters to you, what it is that's really going to be important to you. And Jupiter is the natural ruler, if you will, of the part of the sky for you that has to do with self-actualization. And it has to do with happiness and fulfillment as well. And so I look at these placements and it looks like you are having a moment of honesty as to just what it is that you actually need to be happy and what realistically needs to change for you. And you add to this the fact that with Mars doing its thing, okay, as I just described, this does also suggest to me that it's almost as if a light comes on and you see yourself more clearly. You see your circumstances more clearly. You see what has been taking place in your own life, and particularly in light of your own actions and your own choices. And you decide whether or not it's working for you, or if it actually is something that you are ready to bring closure to. Now, this could be habits, which very often is associated with the sign just before yours. But as I said, there's an element here of clandestineness. And so if there have been any sort of secret behaviors you've been participating in any area of life, it does look like you sort of get an insight into what has been motivating this. And as I said, it doesn't necessarily have to be about love. I will touch on the implications for this full moon in the love video as well. But, and I know because of the language I used and the things I'm talking about, it can seem that this would come across in the context of love. But I think that there are actually a lot of things that a lot of us do that we tend to do just under the surface. Sometimes we don't even consciously think about it all the time. And we think about our habits, of course, those types that sort of that are self-sabotaging habits. But I also think about this element of how, because of this energy and the part of the sky that all of this is going in, all of this is sort of touching on, especially with Mars, you've been going through sort of this extended period of learning as to why it is you do what it is that you do, where it is maybe that you work against your own better judgment or your own stated desires, your best stated intentions, how it is maybe that you trip yourself up sometimes. And as a result, you are going to be getting some very powerful insights into that, which is going to allow you to make a much clearer choice going forward, a choice that is really based on a more mature understanding of who you are and where it is that you are right now in your life, what it is that has manifested, and where it is that you actually want to go. Ultimately, Saturn is about honoring the physical space, understanding the rules of the universe, okay? And partly the rules of our incarnation as well. And while nothing is ever a guarantee as to longevity, because there are just so many different factors at play where it comes to something like that, we can say that there are certain things that you do that will allow you to experience a greater sense of well-being. And there are certain things that can actually work against that. There are certain things that you can do that will allow you to experience a greater level of fulfillment in your life. And there are certain things that you can do that actually work against that. And just getting that clarity will allow you to be in a space where you can come to a greater sense of congruity within yourself as to who it is that you believe you are, what it is that you say you want, and what your actions are demonstrating. When you get that balance right, self-respect is the natural outcome. Thank you for watching. It'll be a great month. Be fabulous and enjoy.